Welcome to the Empty the Quiver podcast, your front row seats for all things Utah Archers. From game recaps to standout performances, we'll be your guide to all things orange and blue. Let's let it fly. Back with another episode. Wish we were feeling like we did with about 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter, but just let that one slip away from us. In my opinion, that was the sloppiest game we've played all year. The ground ball play was atrocious. The face-off wings, the offense, the defense, and we got punished for it. I mean, we got out ground balled, and I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what to think. I mean, we were up. We went into the fourth quarter up 12-10, feeling like we were on cruise control. I was texting JB during the game. I said, this game's going to be decided by a two-pointer. Piper hits that two-pointer in the third. I'm like, that wasn't who I thought it was going to come from, but there it is. That's the first one of the season. We're great. And then, the whole Dylan Malloy, it was just, he was already just busting at the seams, and it just exploded in the fourth quarter, and there was nothing we could do about it. Initial thoughts?
Yeah, eerily similar to having a big lead when Brandon O'Neill went off for 7 goals. Dylan Malloy went off for 7 goals. To your point, 90% win percentage, when you look at the little analytics graph, with 10 minutes and maybe 30 seconds to go in the game, it has Archers with a 90% chance to win that game. 2.5 minutes later, it's from 12-9 to now 15-12. 6 straight goals. One was a two-pointer, so 5 in the net. And the wind is just completely out of your sails at that point. The offense, 2 games in a row now, we combined for 29 goals in the last 2 games. 15 followed by 14. In the last season, plus the first 3 games of this year, they didn't get over 12 goals in a game. So, huge bright spot. You have to be optimistic.
Creating new problems.
You're thinking, if you score 15 and you score 14 and you have the Archers defense, I don't want to say blowout, but it's a convincing win.
Yeah.
Not so much.
No, I mean, Dylan Malloy's the only player in the league, especially now that Asher Nolting's been released to the player pool. He's the only person in the league with his style of play, his body type. I mean, he did whatever he wanted to do. He got to the island whenever he wanted. They snuck him out of the box one time, and poor Connor Marr had to go one-on-one with him from 7 yards. I mean, we just had an off day. I have the utmost trust in Warren Jeffrey, but Brennan Lavelle is our on-ball stopper. Chris Kavanaugh can be that guy. He was not that guy the other night. He had 5 points. One of those was real early in the game. He caught Lavelle ball watching. And then the two-pointer late in the game, Lavelle was hedging down because Dylan Malloy was getting to his spot every single time, doing whatever he wanted. He could not miss the goal. And we give up a two-pointer. That one really, really hurt us. I thought, obviously Mikey Bame had an awesome game against us the first time, holding them to 1 point. I mean, other than Sam English with 3, their midfield, there was a couple guys with 1. We ran super well with them in transition. They're a little bit like us, where they want to get out and go. Now, Jared Connors missed a few shots, had a couple opportunities to score a goal, but that facet of the game, we did awesome. We finally got the 4 points we looked for from the rope unit. Obviously, Piper Bond with an assist and that huge 2 in the third quarter. Aiden McGuire with an assist. Brett Dobson made 18 saves. I mean, we just played too much defense. Going back to the ground ball thing, Sis won a ton of clamps, and we just could not pick the ball up off the ground. It was horrible. There was one in the first quarter, and Mitch Dunham, there was nobody around him, and just missed it, and they scored, immediately punished. I mean, we were lucky to go into halftime with a 7-6 lead. We were texting, and I was like, man, we played that half of lacrosse, and we're in the lead. We're gonna fix it up. We're gonna change the matchup, and we're gonna be fine. did not do it. I think Mac said when he was on, they weren't holding up their end of the equation. The offense did their job, and the defense did not.
Yeah, you go into halftime and you see that Malloy is really the only one beating us in the first half. You look back to the game we played against California earlier this season in Utah. Malloy had 9 shots and only 2 goals. He was guarded by Mitchell Dunham, and that was the Dunham coming out party, the first of his 2 amazing games that now have made him an all-star starter. Congratulations to Mitchell Dunham. That got announced this week. But the fact that you had Malloy score twice on you with Dunham guarding him just a few weeks ago, and then you watch Warren have an off day. And like Dobson said in the post game, we trust Warren Jeffrey. I do. So do you.
Yeah.
I think Warren Jeffrey's fantastic. The news of him coming back this season, when I kind of speculated if Hasek retires, maybe he will too. And he came back, and that really it holds us over until if he retires next year or the year after, and we get Schaller. Warren Jeffrey's an amazing defender, but at the end of the day, that was not the matchup. We saw that, and I'm not even trying to be like the Monday morning quarterback and say he shouldn't have guarded him from the start. But at halftime, you can make the change
Yeah.
because you see that that's the only thing that's not working overall. And honestly, I'm willing to take the LSM off of Mikey Bame and see if he beats us. I know he scored a lot of goals in the first game, but there's no reason to lose a game that you're winning 12-9 with 10 minutes to go and your offense is on fire. It's just
Yeah.
really hard. Shots on goal, shots given up. Something I looked at before we started recording. We gave up 42 shots to the Redwoods game one and lost. They scored 9 times. We gave up 50 shots this past weekend. They scored 16 of them. The only other loss this season, we gave up 40 to Maryland, gave up 8. We only gave up 29 shots to Denver, and we gave up 38 shots to Carolina. So to give up 50 shots to California, it's the defense's worst game of the season.
Yeah. Yeah, we were behind the 8 ball. I think Sis was like 34%, um,
But to your point
38%.
about ground balls, he won multiple clamps that the ball's just there for the taking, and we duff it. Just
Yeah.
don't, just complete whiff.
He's the league leader in ground balls because when he when he wins a faceoff, he wins the faceoff and picks the ground ball up himself.
Right. It
Um,
feels very 3 versus 1 consistently.
yeah, and their faceoff wings are great. Sam English is awesome. Jared Connors, former Archer, awesome off the ground. I'm not sure if it was the surface. Obviously, all the guys were playing in turf shoes, not cleats. Maybe that played a small factor, and they adjusted better than we did. But we won zero 50-50 ground balls, and that's an area of that throughout the season, even in the losses, the defense is out there busting it, picking up ground balls, and we just weren't clean in this game. I know, Coach Bates said that, they definitely out ground balled us, but I mean, and really, like, they were missing Chris Fake and Cole Kastner, and, and we got 2 points from Connor Fields and none from Mac O'Keefe. I mean, the obviously Sam King probably would have drawn the Castner matchup. He had a fantastic game, scored 3 goals and an assist. But we've got to move the ball around. Obviously that's what worked super well against Carolina, and that's what allowed Mac to score 7. you know, we 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 just didn't do the same thing. Obviously, it worked. I mean, 14 is great. Leo Johnson was awesome. Ryan Steins played super well. Finish my sentence, JP.
I walked into that game seeing no Fake, no Kastner, and thought Fields and Mack are going to go off because it's a domino effect. When you're missing your 2 best poles, everybody's got to shift. So now, like you said, their top pole probably goes on King, maybe Fields, but that leaves Mack after his 7 goal game on a reserve player, somebody who doesn't start for them, and he didn't score, not a single goal, no goals, no assists, nothing from Ryan Ambler, no goals, no assists. Fields had his 2, 1 goal, 1 assist, but yeah, the lefties, that was it.
Yeah.
Leo Johnson, bright spot. He's gonna be good. I was excited
Yeah.
when we drafted him. 4 goals. He was shooting. He had 10 shots. 4 of them went in. That's a pretty solid percentage. King with his
Yeah.
4 points, a hat trick.
Well, and he's getting back to the Archers' offensive old of taking a guy behind the cage and beating him. I mean, he was beating short sticks, he was beating poles, he was beating Brian Tevlin, a short stick of the year award winner. I mean, he was. I don't understand why we have gotten away from that on offense, but it's good to see that again. I think King was doing the same thing, maybe not quite from X, but he was not in front of the goal either. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, and the whole game could have been completely different if Mason Woodward's shot was 6 inches to the left, 10 seconds into the game. I mean,
6 inches.
imagine hitting that shot and the wind just coming right out of their sails. I mean, they're playing on their heels the entire rest of the game. Could have been entirely different. I'm not blaming that on Mason, but I'm just saying
Yeah.
that that could have been completely different.
And it was an electric start. It rings off the post that close to a 2 pointer. Not you said 6 inches. It was the size of the ball from 2-0, 10 seconds in. And even with that, the game was very similar to the Carolina start, which was very similar to the game before that, where it was 2-2. Feel each other out a little bit, 4-3 a little bit in the first half or first quarter, and then even end of the first half 7-6. But our third quarter, the Piper Bond 2 pointer, bouncers will go when that hits the back of the net. The game's over to me. We win this
Yeah,
game because our defense has been so lights out, and I never would have expected. Well, who can expect anybody to score 7 goals in a game, even after watching it myself in person the week before? But I thought, honestly, at one point I thought Malloy's going to score 10 times. We cannot stop it.
yeah. Well, and then we changed our defensive philosophy in the fourth quarter, and guys started hedging, and they just started beating us with the passes. Obviously, he had 7 goals and 2 assists. One of them was for a 2 pointer. Um, you know, and we just looked uncomfortable hedging. For the last 3 or 4 years, we've switched at will and trusted guys to hold their matchup. And not saying that we didn't trust them, but obviously something was going wrong. Something had to go differently. And so we changed, and they scored 6 goals on us in the fourth quarter. We barely let up 6 goals a game, and we let up 6 goals in a quarter. So I don't think that will happen again. I mean, like I said, Dauber did all he could. I mean, he saw 36 shots and saved 18 of them. I mean,
Yep.
yeah, it was just hard to watch.
It was, especially after driving in what took 5.5 hours in New York City traffic to get there.
Yeah,
Seats were great. The first 3 quarters were amazing. Rough way to end it. Just a couple
yeah,
bounces, honestly. Ground
yeah.
balls, any hustle. The Mac play at midfield, which is not Mac's fault, but that,
Goodness.
I mean, Bates is asking Maddie to challenge it, and it's the typical Maddie, like I'll shrug my shoulders. I can't look back at that one.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a huge momentum flip. JB's talking about the play. I can't remember if it was late in the third or early in the fourth where we had gotten a defensive stop. The ball is rolling towards midfield. Obviously, their depot is there trying to keep it over. He does not keep it over, and Mac picks it up and gets it checked out. Well, if Mac is picking it up, it's over midfield, so it should be over and back. They should have to give a space, and then we go. That did not happen. Unfortunately, that's not reviewable. And yeah, I'm pretty sure they scored. I mean, they just every time we made a mistake, they scored, and that was the story of the game.
Yep. A lot of bad breaks compounded into 16 goals against.
Yeah, but on the bright side, a lot of great stuff from the young guys on offense. We don't have to play that team again until the playoffs. There's not another Dylan Malloy in the league. Brett Dobson said in the post-game presser that guy's the closest thing to John Grant Jr. since he retired, and there's no other big body, you know, bully. Matt Rambo maybe, but he's not the Matt Rambo of old. And we match up phenomenally against all the other teams in the league, especially on defense. And we have a lot of winnable games against the teams in the East. I think that's going to be an anomaly from our defense.
At this point last year, we only had 5 games to go. This year, we have 7 left. So you can afford to lose one. You don't want to, but
Yeah,
it means a little bit less than it would have last year.
that's absolutely right.
Players of the game,
Yeah, you want to start us?
Leo Johnson, we mentioned him, 4 goals. He's been a spark, the spark we desperately needed. The young guys on offense between Leo, Steins, both rookies, Sam King, second year player, that was our entire offense essentially in the last
Yeah.
game. Leo Johnson has played very few games in the PLL, but he seems to be the spark we need, and he scored 4 times. So he's the
Yep.
player of the game. And then number two, who are you going with?
I think we got to go Sam King, like you said. I mean, he first half hat trick, really got us going in the right direction, putting his body on the line. I mean, he took some crazy hits. He was diving all over the place. 3 goals and an assist. Super great game from him. 50% shooting. Awesome, awesome stuff.
I'm going to go Piper Bond, number three.
I think so.
I mean, the 2-pointer, yeah, we've been begging for it all year. Didn't expect the 2-pointer to come from a short stick. Thought somebody like Woody, maybe Lavelle would rip one, but yeah, he played great defense. Oftentimes you see the poles are the guys who are locking everybody down. The short sticks might give up a couple goals, and that's been the story from the season. When you look at even games against Carolina, they scored 7. I think 6 were against short sticks. This week it wasn't that. Well, that was not the case. Piper did his job. He was also great on offense. He had another assist. Just overall, the hustle plays. He puts the work in. You can see it. So yeah, he'll be the single arrow today for
Yeah.
last week.
Definitely want to give a special shout out to our 4 All-Stars. Obviously, Mitchell Dunham, the starter on defense. Not at all sure why Brett Dobson is not the starter either. Blaze Reardon does not lead the league in any important categories.
Important.
Sure,
Name a single category, even if it's not important. He does not lead the league in a category.
it's
None.
correct.
But he is the starter.
And then 2 guys from our rope unit, Piper and Bo. I was talking to Joe Keeg and talking about short stick defensive midfielder of the year, and right now it looks like a 2-horse race, and both those guys wear orange and blue. Super happy to see those guys get recognition, and excited to see them in Annapolis. So
Yeah.
congratulations again to all 4 of our guys.
Pretty slick looking jerseys too, with the red, white, and blue. Very
Yeah,
patriotic. Since I've started following PLL games, it's the nicest All Star jersey they've had so far. So might have
100%.
to might have to grab one of those.
Yeah. Well, I think JB has something prepared for us in lieu of our card talk today. It is still card talk, but we're not going to show anything. Why don't you take it away, JB?
Yeah, at this part of the episode, we usually grab a trading card. Big card nerds, we love collecting. So, some news this week out of the PLL trading card world. We started collecting these cards 5 sets ago. It was the 2023 Snapshot set. It came out in May of 2024. That 2023 draft class had their rookie cards in that set. It was a smaller set. It was all rookies and all pros. It was the PLL Collectibles first venture, doing it on their own. The cards were great quality. It was minimal because it only had your standard numbered parallels and you had autographs. The only real flaw with that set was packaging. I have it back here. Looked like this. So you could, we found out as people were ripping packs, you could weigh these. The lighter boxes were all base cards. The heavier ones had the good cards in them. So then you've got your people obviously out there taking advantage of that and selling the all base sets for more than they were worth. But overall, fantastic start. 2024 flagship comes out a couple months later. It's their first ever full set of base cards. They add relics to the mix, which are your game worn jerseys that are cut up and put inside the trading card. Great set overall, but not without flaws. You take on a bigger venture like that, and the quality did slightly drop from Snapshot. Some little things that you can be picky about, but 2 of the rookies used either, I don't know if they were defective pens or something was wrong with the stickers in the autographs, Brandau and Knobloch. You cannot find a clear autograph from either of those from the 24 set. Those are the rookie cards. Some advertised odds that every now and then you'd open a box and you'd get less than you were expected. So you're supposed to get 3 autographs, you might get 1 or 2. But the customer service was there because you could email PLL Collectibles. They would send you a new box to replace it. Overall, just a great set. And things are really looking up at this point for the future of the PLL card industry. And they've got their first full set. Players like Brennan O'Neill, so people are chasing them. They sell out just like Snapshot did. But that's where things got interesting. They come out with Field Side. and it was confusing from day one because it was advertised as a 2025 set. They revised their ads to say, no, it is a 2024 set. It came out in the summer of 2025. Ultimately, it turns out it is a 2024 set, a recap of the 2024 season. It just was printed in 25. It's the first time we ever saw a Catalyst card, so they introduced those along with our the little subset of 10 Champions cards. The Archers had won the championship the year before, so they got their inserts in there. So some great ideas out of this set, but field side is now synonymous with just poor quality. The quality of these cards suffered tremendously. The edges were awful. The centering was poor. You can find cards that the whole top is just cut off. It looked like they were printed by a printing company that never printed trading cards. So along with that and issues of predictability with players you were going to pull. If you saw Schreiber on top, you knew Grant and Mack were coming after that. So a lot of complaints out of field side. Even the photos they chose, some questionable ones. But the goal there was you're on the field side, so some close-up stuff that wasn't what you're used to in a lacrosse card. Good ideas overall, but not great with execution. Catalyst cards, though, shout out Catalyst. That was my favorite insert that they've ever come up with. And then they get back to their roots with 2025 Flagship. Could have been a great set, another solid set, but then cropping issues come into play again. So again, good ideas, but the printing of the card itself, and truly what matters with a trading card is the quality of the card itself. The design of these cards comes with a thin little line around the outside, which might look cool in a proof, but it makes it so incredibly easy to tell if the card is off-centered because those lines have to be perfect. The lines are different colors based on, it signifies the rarity of the parallel. So you have a red one if there's only 10 of them printed, blue if there's 99, etc. But one of the biggest flaws there also is they forgot to print numbers on the back of these cards. So it makes it 10 times more difficult to organize your sets if you're collecting. I was very shocked, honestly, to hear that the grading companies like PSA would even grade these cards because it's a very basic component to trading cards to be numbered on the back. So again, a couple more strikes, and then field side comes out in June of this year. So the fifth set, just simply awful. It's not good. The edges are very beat up. The quality of the cards themselves, like I said about the field side one last year, the printing looks like it was done by a print shop that's never printed sports cards. Everything from off-centered. They're stamping the last names of the players on the parallels. So if it's a red 10, the name will be stamped in red. What that means is the names aren't stamped in the same spot on every card. Some are stamped a little higher than others, to the right, to the left, inconsistent. One of the players on the whips, their black 25 parallel, he doesn't even have a last name. They just forgot to stamp it. The checklist on the website is incorrect. It says Schellenberger doesn't have an autograph. It says Ben Weyer does have an autograph. Those are reversed. And all of that I'm describing right now sounds bad, but we haven't even scratched the surface with the biggest issues of this set. It's the debut of the WLL women's set. And so they've advertised 3 WLL inserts in every box you purchase. I personally purchased 3 boxes over the last, 3 weeks. I got 2 in Charlotte right when they launched, 1 last weekend in Long Island. Have yet to see a WLL card. Talking to others in the card community, those odds are closer to a case hit, which is the Catalyst odds of 1 per case, not box, case of boxes. So instead of 3 in a box, you get 1 in a case. Even with all that said, the bigger issue is now dual autographs. It's the first time they've ever introduced to us a dual autograph, which is a brilliant idea. You can have Chris Cav and Pat Cav on one card, both autographs. You can have Pennell and Schreiber. You have Schellenberger and O'Neill. They have 10 of these dual autographs that they're printing, inserting into packs. They have 25, so you can get a 1 out of 25 all the way up to 25 out of 25 of each of those 10, and then each of them have a 1 of 1, which is the chase card in this set. You have 10 1 of 1s, dual autographs. Everybody's excited about them. The PLL has sold over 50 cases of cards. Again, not boxes, cases. There has not been a single dual autograph pulled. Not a single one has surfaced. And while We have seen PLL leadership post on social media stating that there is an error with the WLL inserts. There is apologies. There are promises that those cards will be issued, and so the people who purchase this set will get their WLL women's cards, and that is great. But that also has other implications because secondary markets, since this set released 3 weeks ago, and they continue to sell these cards, including this past weekend, even though they knew there were issues. The secondary market now has WLL cards, since they are a case hit, they're selling for $40, $50, $60 a piece. So they're going to correct that issue, and they're going to flood the market with these women's cards, which is terrible news for anybody who has spent good money on them. Good news for those of us who deserve to own a couple women's cards because we bought the cases that, or boxes that they should have been stuffed in. But honestly, the fact that dual autographs have not even been discussed, and the statement that was released did not include anything with dual autos, I'm not going to speculate. Everything I've just said in the last couple of minutes has been purely factual, so I'll leave it at that. But I'm terrified. I think our minds have started to run wild a little bit. So we'll just sit back and wait and see. Wait to see what unfolds. But ultimately, the lacrosse card community as a whole is not doing well right now, and I'm nervous to see what happens. And this is not a knock on leadership. I like the Rabels. I like Rachel. I like Tom. They've treated me great. I argue that you will not find a bigger PLL fan anywhere. I've been to countless games. Open the PLL app, look at the leaderboard. You'll see my name at the top ever since 2023 when the app launched. So again, this is not me trying to shed bad light and negativity, but ultimately something has to happen because we love collecting these cards. It's by being a fan, what comes along with that is wanting even more, and why it hurts even more that the quality is so poor.
Yeah, thanks for putting that together and sharing. Definitely want to echo the thoughts on how much we love the PLL. I may not be there at the top on the leaderboard, but you won't find a bigger Archers fan than JB or myself, and fan of the league. But definitely would like to see those issues rectified. Um, as we love the cards so much, and it's a important part of our fandom, an important part of growing the game. So yeah, we'll keep you updated. Also want to talk about the news today that broke from the Supreme Court on the 5-and-5 eligibility for college athletes. Obviously, that news just broke today. I don't want to provide incorrect information. So as we see things on social media, we'll share them and hopefully have a better answer for you next week. Um,
How bad do you feel for the Cannons right now? I mean, if they're going to get the first overall pick, which again, speculation, right now they have one win. They don't look great. They just dropped Asher Nolting. But to get the number one overall pick and have pretty much every senior stay in school, it's, it's a bad beat.
yeah, no, we need to win some games, is all I'm going to say about that. But hopefully, our next episode will end with a little bit more positivity. I hate to be a little doom and gloom on you this week, but thank you again for tuning in. Follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, X, whatever you like to call it, on YouTube and Spotify. Share it with your friends. I think we're getting real close to 100 followers on Instagram. We're going to do a special giveaway for that. So please let us know your thoughts in the comments. And remember, let it fly.